Hey everyone, today we're going to begin our new unit and we're going to cover the writing process and begin planning to write a personal narrative. In this PowerPoint, we are not only going to cover personal narratives, but also what to expect this year within writing as a whole. There are broad topics that we will cover right now and specific topics that we will cover throughout the year. Specifically, the writing process is a step-by-step process to follow to ensure that your writing pieces are organized, clear, and concise. Following the steps of the writing process will help you to organize your thoughts so that they are logical and can be easily understood. And there are 4 steps to the writing process. The first step is pre-writing. Pre-writing is anything you do before you write your first draft of your essay, research paper, or narrative. There are various strategies that you can use within this stage of the writing process, such as brainstorming, outlining, and gathering information. This step is crucial and should not be overlooked. Brainstorming and outlining essays allow you to create a plan that can be followed, leading to less errors when it is time to create your first draft. Step 2 is drafting. This step is when you take your ideas and put them into paragraph form, like an essay. Organization is key during this stage as well. Although you've already planned what you are going to say and outlined it, when you transform your thoughts into paragraphs, you must focus on connecting your thoughts. Use your outline to help you plan and focus on what to say. Don't focus on grammar or spelling as much at this stage. Focus on the message and what you want your readers to know. This stage can tend to lean towards the writer's opinion. Step 3 is revision. We tend to skip this step, but this is a very crucial step. When you revise, you look at the message and see what needs to be fixed. You may want to ask the following question: Is this paper organized? Is there a clear purpose? Am I speaking to my audience or am I addressing myself? Do I need to change anything? At the revision stage, you want to fix any organizational errors and make sure that your writing is very clear for your audience. Take out any redundancy, which is being repetitive, or anything that is off topic. You also want to make sure that you clear up any biases you may have in your essay or your paper. You want the paper to be about the message that your audience needs to receive. And step 4 is editing. At this stage, you are looking at your paper in order to fix any spelling, grammatical, or punctuation errors. This is the very last step before turning in an essay. As a whole, many of us do the writing process naturally, but sometimes we leave out steps, which leaves our papers open to errors and inconsistency. As you become writers in this class, you will use the writing process to give yourself opportunities for improvement. A few housekeeping things. When you write, there are a few things that you want to keep in mind. If you're writing to an audience about a text, an informational piece, creating an argument, synthesizing, or performing research, you do not want to use I. This takes your message away from your audience and makes it about you, which is not what you want. In order to be a credible or a trustworthy writer, you always want to focus on your audience and leave any biases out. Therefore, you must not refer to yourself in your paper. However, the paper that we're getting ready to do is a personal narrative. So in a personal narrative, it is about you and it is about your experience, so you can use I. When you write, you will use MLA format, which stands for Modern Language Association. In other words, there are certain rules that you must follow. Use Times New Roman font, size 12. You will double space your paper. You will not skip lines, but indent each paragraph. Include a title for every essay or paper. And lastly, you will label your paper at the top left-hand corner in the following way. You will list your name, the class, the teacher, and the date. And here is an example of how it looks. Now let's focus on the personal narrative. So we're going to be writing a personal narrative. The narrative is an exception to the I rule. Since this is a story about your life, you may refer to yourself in the first person because you are going to be writing in first person. When you write your narrative, you are going to focus on a time in your life in which you learned something valuable. I prefer that you write about a recent event, so something that occurred within the last 2 years. There are a couple things that I want you to steer clear of as you begin planning for your personal narrative. And I don't mean this to be mean, but you may not write about the loss of a loved one. This is a narrative about a time in your life in which you learned a lesson. So we don't want to focus on something that happened to someone else or the loss of something. And you may not focus on an illness or an accident that happened to another person. Again, this is a narrative about you, about a personal experience. So the focus and the main character needs to be you. A personal narrative, specifically this one, is supposed to convey a lesson you have learned from a personal experience. So the focus needs to be on you. You may have other characters, but the lesson stems from your experience. Therefore, do not write about others. Other characters can be used to emphasize you, but this can't be about them. And here's the specific prompt. In a well-developed personal narrative, students will demonstrate their knowledge and use of narrative techniques in order to describe an event in their lives in which they learned a lesson. This personal narrative will be written in MLA format.
May I have your attention, please, teachers?
Sorry for the interruption. While writing the personal narrative, students will use narrative techniques in order to engage their audience and smoothly tell the progression of events. Students may write about a recent time and or event in their lives in which they learned a valuable lesson or overcame an obstacle in which he or she had to show courage, intelligence, bravery, or all three. The student may not write about the following events: the loss of a loved one or an illness or accident that happened to another person. Your personal narrative must be about you, therefore, write about a personal experience in which you grew as a person. If you aren't sure what to write or you're not sure about an event that happened, think about an event that could have happened at school within the last 2 years. There are tons of lessons that you learn at school, whether it's to stay clear of drama. It could be about an argument that you had with a friend, or it could be about failing a class or failing a test. So if you're not sure where to start, think about something that happened at school. Characteristics of a personal narrative. It has a clear, focused purpose. It may contain a narrative or storytelling part that is sequenced chronologically and supports the central idea. Chronologically means order in which events occurred, so from first to last. It employs a natural and usually informal style of writing. Although a personal narrative is more of an informal style of writing, you must use correct grammar and spelling. You can use slang terms and abbreviations in dialogue, but your writing must be grammatically correct. It includes details and or persons in such a way as to make their significance to the purpose clear. So you want to tell me the importance of each character in your personal narrative and describe them in such a way that whoever is reading your personal narrative has a clear vision of who they're reading about. It uses descriptive writing to allow the reader to connect with the writer's personal experience and reaction to it. Talk about how things look, describe them thoroughly, describe feelings. It uses effective connecting words and expressions which lead the reader through the experience and the thinking conclusion reached by the writer. It highlights the writer's reflection on the focused purpose as an essential part of the personal essay, and it maintains a first-person point of view. Here are some guided questions to help you.
May I have your attention, please?
Sorry for the interruption again. So here are some guided questions to help you brainstorm and plan out what you may want to write about. Was there a time in your life in which you needed to have courage or learned a valuable lesson? What happened during that time? Be specific, give a play-by-play in order in which the event happened. Who was involved? Did a friend or a family member experience the event with you? And what did you learn? After experiencing the event, did you come away learning anything or growing from the experience? And as you try to brainstorm what you want to write about, jot down any ideas. If you have a question about what to write about, email me. I want us to be appropriate, but sometimes the most valuable lessons come from uncomfortable situations. So just ask if you are unsure about a topic. I've read a lot of personal narratives over the years. There's not a lot that surprises me or makes me uncomfortable. So please think outside the box. If you're struggling with this, again, think about something that you learned at school. There are a number of different ways that you can write this personal narrative. So try to be creative. If you're struggling, think simply about an event. Talking about getting lost on your first day of high school can also be a valuable lesson. Learning to study and be responsible after failing a test can be a valuable lesson. So think about different things. And again, if you are unsure about a topic and you want to ask me about that, just shoot me an email. Thanks.